Have you ever felt like the entire world was against you? That everywhere, everything is something to be afraid of? Have you ever wished you could curl up in a ball and just escape reality, hide from your fear, anxiety? Well, for the last 6 years, that has kind of been my life. I have had so many anxieties, so much fear, and in this video, I'm going to share with you my anxiety story and how I've worked to overcome it so that hopefully you can overcome it just as I did. Alright, so first let's talk about kind of where it all started for me. So back in 2019, my mom had just started working at the local public school, and up until this point in my life, I had been homeschooled my entire life. So this was kind of a big change educational wise for me. But the biggest change was the fact that my mom was not around to cook my meals. And this was a pretty big change for me because I had always been a picky eater, but my mom had kind of catered to my needs and made me food that I actually liked. And now I had to make the food myself. My dad occasionally took me and my brothers out for some fast food or something, but that was kind of it. And unfortunately, this is kind of where it all started. So I've always hated throwing up, and I'm sure most of you can relate. It is absolutely no fun. No one wants to throw up. But for me, it was like a really bad fear. And unfortunately, I had thrown up a few times from eating fast food. I don't know if it was because the food was poisoned or we got the stomach bug or something, but regardless, I still threw up. And this is where it kind of started. And from there, it was just like a domino effect, just one fear after the other. I was so scared. I was like, oh, I threw up from eating fast food. I shouldn't eat fast food. Oh, it's because I went out of the house. I need to stay in my house. Oh, it's because I was around people. I shouldn't go around people. They're passing me all their germs and stuff. And the fears just kept piling up more and more until literally I was afraid of almost everything and anything. About a year after it all started, I went for examination and I was diagnosed with GAD, ARFID, social anxiety, and germophobia. I'm sure I got some other anxieties later on, but this was what I was officially diagnosed with. Now, it definitely didn't help that this all started around the time of COVID, when the rest of the world was hiding just like me. And I had previously done some sports and other social activities, but because of COVID, everything was kind of shut down. So I just kind of stayed home and played video games all day, trying to hide from the pain and fears. And even once the ban was lifted and people started socializing again and stuff, I just stayed home. I didn't want anything to do with socializing or going out to restaurants. And I would literally only leave the house about once every week or twice. That was literally it. Besides being worried about all this stuff, I was also starving myself, eating almost nothing for about 6 years. I remember, despite being quite tall for my age, I could barely reach 100 pounds at most times. And I just didn't want to eat much food because I was afraid I'd get fat. And the pile of misery just kept coming. And to add to the pile of misery I had, because I wasn't eating much, I was always extremely low on energy, which was just made living an absolute nightmare. And I was just so miserable, always on low energy. I always felt like I couldn't do anything. It was a miracle I grew as much as I did, eating so little. Alright, so now you've heard my anxiety and ARFID and fears and how they all just started piling up on me. But now I want to shift to how I overcame these fears and anxieties and kind of walk you through my process, so hopefully it will do the same for you. So first, I had to realize how bad my life was. I was letting all this fear and anxiety completely control me, and at the time I thought it wasn't so bad. You know, I can eat food at home, my parents can go out and shop for me, I don't need to eat much, I don't want to get a fat stomach, I don't need to go out and socialize, I got friends online. And you know, looking back now, I realize how absolutely miserable my life was. And once I realized I can't live like this anymore, like my entire mental just shifted. I realized that I could not keep living like this, and this is kind of where all the change started. So I want you to take a minute and pause the video if you need to, but seriously think about, if you didn't have your fear or anxiety, how would your life change? Like, how much better would it be? You know, for me, it would be something like, if I didn't have this fear of food, I could eat more food, I could go out in restaurants, and if I wasn't afraid of socializing, I could go out, make some new friends, hang out with my real friends, instead of just playing games with my online friends. And for me, since I've been working on overcoming these fears and anxieties, it actually has become a reality for me. I may not be exactly where I want to be, but every day I'm trying to push myself out of my comfort zone, because that's how you improve. Alright, so this next part was extremely hard for me to accept, and it may be for some of you, and you know, it set me back in my anxiety, even into more fear. But I had to understand that you can never fully get rid of your anxiety. And it's not just me saying this, there's plenty of studies out there that have backed this up. But despite this, I don't want you to think, oh, see, I can't get rid of my anxiety, it's gonna be there forever. No, you can get rid of your anxiety and conquer it. It may always be there, but you can get it to a level where it will barely affect you. I mean, I still have all those anxious thoughts all the time. Just the other day, I was out eating and my stomach started to ache, and I had barely touched my food, so I had to tell myself, look, you need to eat. Your stomach is probably just hungry. And guess what? I got through the rest of my meal just fine. I have learned that I cannot let these thoughts rule me. I have to own them, not vice versa. Your mind is a very powerful tool, and if you can learn to control it, it becomes immensely more powerful. Now, let's talk about how I learned to control my thoughts, because as I said before, it is extremely powerful. Now, I'm no psychologist, but I have learned through the years on how to control my mind's thoughts. The first thing you need to understand is that learning to control your mind is kind of like lifting weights. You will start out weak and unable to lift much weight, but with time you'll get stronger and stronger, and it's the same with your mind and mental. You haven't been trying to control these thoughts, you won't be able to control them very well. But if you keep trying, just like if you keep going to the gym, you're gonna get stronger, just like with your mind. So if you've been trying this already and you're like, well, it isn't working, just remember, it takes time. That's it. There's no real secret. You just have to take control over your thoughts. I don't know how else to say it. It was a complete game changer for me once I realized that I need to control my thoughts, and my total mental just shifted. Now, some of you may have heard this or tried it, and you're like, yeah, it doesn't work, I've tried it. But be completely honest with yourself. Have you really committed to trying to control your thoughts, or are you half trying? And again, like I said, it isn't just a switch that you can turn on and off. You have to build this up with time, just like strength in the gym. If there's one thing you take away from this video, it should be this. If you learn to control your thoughts, I truly believe that you can learn to control your anxiety. There are definitely some things that helped me do this, because at first I really had a hard time with this, and I had heard about it and kind of half tried it before, but I had never really fully committed to it. And I remember my parents one time, they told me they'd give me $100 if I ate one thing from Taco Bell, just one bite. And I just could not do it. I was so terrified. I was trying to tell myself, it's okay. It's just like eating something from home. It'll be fine. But I still had a ton of thoughts rushing through my head about how the food might be poisoned. It's not made at home, so it's not safe. I threw up twice eating from Taco Bell, so surely I will do it this time. And guess what? These thoughts just overpowered me, and I missed out on a free $100 because of that. And now I'm eating from restaurants all the time without any reward, just purely from my own decision. So what changed? Because a year ago I wouldn't touch Taco Bell or any other restaurants even for $100. And now, while I'm still a bit nervous to eat there, I eat there all the time. Well, over the past 6-7 months, I've been fully locked in and trying to improve my life and overcome my anxiety. So my mental has really changed. I would say there are two things that have really helped me the most. The first one is working out. Besides all the health benefits, it really helped my discipline and my mental. There's a ton of research out there about this and how working out will help your discipline, anxiety, and mental. I highly recommend that if you haven't already, to try to get in some intense physical exercise for at least 3 days a week. It will not only completely change your physique and appearance, but also your health and mental health. I know some of you might be scared to set foot in the gym because of your lack of strength or physical appearance. And trust me, I know this feeling all too well. I wouldn't go to the gym for like 4 or 5 months because I was a really skinny guy and I was scared people would judge me. But trust me, most people in the gym are very friendly. No one really judges you. And the hardest part is really just getting started. Sorry guys, switching over to voiceover here because I originally forgot to record this part. But the second thing that really helped me overcome my anxiety besides going to the gym consistently is what I mentioned earlier, just learning to control your thoughts. I can't emphasize this enough. I think it's the most important thing you could focus on if you were to choose just one. It is such a powerful tool to be able to control your mind and your thoughts. And if you let them control you, that's kind of how you slip into this whole anxiety rut. But if you learn to control them, you basically have power over your anxiety and can control it. I hope you guys have been helped or inspired in some way by this video. I know it's terrible to be in that situation. I've been there for the last 6 years of my life, but I want to leave you with one final quote, if you would, that the hardest part is just getting started. So take that first leap and see where you go.